The importance of the river to myself and to Duwamish people is this is one of the main waterways that Duwamish people use. This place had a great abundance of all types of things that Native people needed, from reeds for mats, to clams, to salmon, and all types of different fish. The wealth of Seattle was built on the back of the Duwamish River. What it also has done is created a very toxic area. It's important to find that balance for not just the Duwamish community, but also the communities of South Park and Georgetown and the industries, so everybody can thrive. That's the point.
The mission of the Duwamish River Cleanup Coalition is to ensure a Duwamish River cleanup that's accepted by and benefits the community, and that is also protective of fish, wildlife, and human health. Back in 2001, the Duwamish River was identified as a Superfund site by the Environmental Protection Agency. And that means that it's one of the most toxic, hazardous waste sites in the entire nation.
Today we're at Terminal 117, which is a Port of Seattle property. And this is one of what they call the early action cleanups on the Duwamish River. It's one of the hottest spots within the Superfund site that needed to be cleaned up right away because of imminent threats to the environment and people's health. There were burned out hulks of ships that had been left behind in the river. There were abandoned trucks literally in the river. There was trash, metal, garbage everywhere. So in 2001, Duwamish River Cleanup Coalition started. I was asked to coordinate their efforts, but really Duwamish River Cleanup Coalition is just that. It's a coalition of many different affected residents, tribes, social justice and environmental activists, neighborhoods. The Duwamish River Cleanup Coalition is the people who are most directly impacted by the state of this river and by the plans to clean it up.
The role that DRCC has, with the communities that we work with and for is to basically amplify the voice of these communities, build power, empower them. It's not to actually be the voice of the communities, or represent the communities. How can we make sure the communities have a seat at the table, and when they are there with other decision makers, federal agencies, state agencies, the mayor, city council, King County Council, how can they actually guide this process and give meaningful input about what they need and what they want?
I originally was drawn to the Georgetown neighborhood because housing in Georgetown was still very affordable and was able to get into something that would be a good place for long term and to raise my family here. Duwamish River Cleanup Coalition has really helped lead our community in the cleanup of the river by giving our community members a voice with agencies and with the process to get the river cleaned up, and in the process has also given our community a voice to go out and work towards other things to make it a better place to live.
The work that DRCC does changes all the time. We don't have a secret formula to do things because it depends on what the community needs and wants. What's been very successful is to talk to community leaders, showcase their expertise and their knowledge. We basically give the community technical advice, and then we have community leaders and community members translate that information both figuratively and literally to their fellow community members and neighbors.
When we came to South Park the first time, we saw the proximity that this neighborhood has to the river, but it took some years that I started to realize and learn how polluted the river was. I started to volunteer. I wanted to get more involved after I started learning about all the pollution that it has, and I want the people to understand, because many of them who didn't speak English, I want them to know about it and to realize that we need to take some precautions when playing with family around it.
Is it cold, Madison, the water?
When I started to get involved with the Duwamish River Cleanup Coalition, I saw that they really were looking to work with community in an intentional way. And that's what we have been working for, hosting EPA meetings in Spanish, being the first times in the whole United States.
The DRCC has a program to explain to people that the rivers is not good for fishing. If I see some fisher, I came to talk to them, and more I convince them. So I'm very happy, yeah.
It's up to us to empower these groups that we work with so that when we're done with this in 15 or 20 years, they are stronger and they can stand on their own and they're working together better.
I believe in the work that the DRCC have been doing, trying to involve and trying to empower community members.
If we do it right here on the Duwamish, and we do things, looking at them through an environmental justice and an equity lens, that's gonna set a precedent. Those things can be replicated in one way or the other, in other areas that need to also be protected and restored around Puget Sound and the Salish Sea.